Welcome back to Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is Friday, September 27th. If you are just tuning in, we've just gone over 13 of the biggest college football games of the weekend in the biggest slate thus far, as well as the NFL games earlier on in the show. In this segment, we are going to go with our famous Friday MLB Power Rankings, the official Sports by GSMC podcast MLB Power Rankings, the final ones of the regular season, or in seasons ones. We will have an end of season Power Rankings as there's just 3 games left for many teams to play. But before we get into that, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Leave a tip or donation with a message in it. Or if you are on YouTube, you can use the super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Friday, September 27th. We're going to finish off our show here strong. The MLB Power Rankings, hot off the press from September 29th. Starting off at number 30, we have the White Sox. We talked about it yesterday. They're on watch for 121. They kick off a 3-game series against the Detroit Tigers tonight. A huge, huge matchup for both of these teams. The Tigers looking to clinch. We've got Garrett Crochet going tonight for the White Sox. Their starter, they waited for him so that they pushed him back so that they could have him go up against the Tigers, keep their streak alive if they needed to. It's a massive game for both teams. The White Sox, they don't want to go down in infamy. The Tigers, they want to clinch a playoff spot for the first time in 10 years. White Sox, still down there at 30. At 29, the Miami Marlins, the second team to hit 100 losses on the season. Congratulations to the Miami Marlins for hitting that beautiful round number. They had a season worth forgetting, I will say. Congratulations on your 100 loss season. They made the playoffs last year. In 28th place, the Colorado Rockies at 98 wins. They're also almost at that 100 loss record. We'll see if they can get there. See if we can get 3 teams there without getting a single team to 100 wins. This is the first time since 2013 that no team is going to get to 100 wins. Lots of parity here this year. At 27, the Angels. They get swept by the White Sox. Probably should have moved them down for that, but they're still slightly better than the Rockies. The White Sox get their second sweep of the year ever. Angels, not very good. Also, just going to miss out on that 100 losses, but they're right around there. At 26, the Washington Nationals. The Nationals are in disrepair. C.J. Abrams, their first player to go 2020 since Ian Desmond did it back in the early 2010s. He gets sent down to the minors because he spent all night in a Chicago casino. Not a good look for them. They've got a lot of young talent. They'll be back next year with pitching, with hitting. I believe in this Washington Nationals team to be good next season. The Athletics at 25, we talked about them yesterday. They just finished up their final game in the Oakland Coliseum last night. They get a win. A great way to send out in a historic stadium, the last of the formerly combined football-baseball stadiums in use. It's a shame. No positive emotions out of there other than a win. It sucks for the A's. It sucks for their fans. And not a big fan of John Fisher here at the Sports by GSMC Podcast Network headquarters. But at 24, we have the Pirates. The Pirates and Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is probably going to win Rookie of the Year. Maybe even going to be up there in NL Cy Young. I don't think he'll win it, but I think he'll be up there. He had an awesome season. The Pirates should be back next year. They don't move at all. The Reds, up there at number 23. The Reds get a loss today. They lose to the Cubs 1-0. They fire their manager. David Bell is no more after giving him an extension. Just shows the state of the team a little bit. They had some improvement. They dealt with injuries, but I think a new face in that clubhouse is very important, and I think they have the talent to turn it around next year. At 22, the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays, Vladdy looks like he's back. Not all the way back, but he looks like he's back. And if they can build on the momentum, maybe, just maybe, they can find a way to not waste this core. I still think they should have traded this core away, though, gotten a haul for Vladdy at the deadline. Maybe they'll do that next year. At 21, the San Francisco Giants. Matt Chapman gets his massive extension. The Giants are going to be kind of mediocre for a long time. They're kind of in that weird range where they're not good, but they're not bad, and they're going to spend money to try and get out of it. They have money to spend. Rumors are they're going to chase Juan Soto pretty heavily. I don't think they're going to go out and get him, but there is a shot. We'll see. At 20, the Rays. The Rays had a uncharacteristically down year. Injuries hit them hard as they usually do, but they were unable to come back from it. Next year they should be able to bounce back. It's the Rays. I'm not too worried about them. The defending champion, Texas Rangers. Number 19. They've just had an awful year all season long. We kind of knew they weren't gonna be back. I had them missing the playoffs at the beginning of the season, but I did think they were still gonna be slightly better than this. Injuries hit them hard. You had a nice rookie year from Wyatt Langford, stuff to build on. They'll be back next year as well. The Cardinals at 18. They looked like they were gonna go on a run there in the middle of the year, get that wild card spot. Unfortunately, injuries caught up to them. They sputtered out at the end. I'm not a huge believer in the Cardinals for the future. Their team is built around a very, very old core. It's a little concerning if you're a Cardinals fan. At 17, the Boston Red Sox. Picture of mediocrity, right? The Boston Red Sox continue to find ways to be right around 500. The Boston Red Sox, 80-79. Wouldn't it be fun if they just finished the year over there at 81-81? Something they could very easily do in this series against the Rays. Mariners at 16, the most recent team to get eliminated from the playoffs. They were almost there. They were so close after choking away a very large lead to the Houston Astros in their division. The Mariners just unable to claim that final wild card spot, fall just short. Their offense figured it out at the end. It was just too little too late for them, unfortunately. The Cubs, with the only win today so far, winning 1-0 over the Reds. They stay there at number 15. They're another team kind of like the Giants. They're a little younger, so they've got a little more hope, but they're just kind of sitting there. At 14, the Twins. Fall from grace for the Twins. 3-7 over their last 10. Losses to the Marlins a whole bunch. Falling all but out of the wild card race. Now, they still do have a chance. They haven't been eliminated yet. They are the last team in the AL to not be eliminated, but they need help. They either need the Tigers to get swept by the White Sox. Probably not going to happen. The Royals to get swept by the Braves. Better chance, but I'd reckon that it's not going to happen. And on top of that, they need to sweep the Orioles. That is a lot of stuff that needs to happen. They're 3 games out. There's only one way in. They need to win out, and one of those 2 teams ahead of them needs to lose out. They're just about out of this game. They're just about out of the playoffs, though. Although the team right ahead of them, the Royals, are struggling nearly just as much as they are. Both of those teams, 3-7 in their last 10. So if there's any team that might be able to swap with them, it is that division rival, the Kansas City Royals. Both teams have kind of tough opponents. They both have playoff opponents, although the Braves are definitely fighting for their lives more than the O's are. So maybe there's a little bit of life there. I doubt it, though. The Royals are at 13. At 12, the Houston Astros. The Astros have just been playing solid baseball ever since they took the lead. 5-5 over their last 10. They claimed the division. It feels like this is what they were meant to do all season long, right? The Astros just keep on winning ball games, right? That's all they got to do. Climb all the way back. This is a good Astros team, and they're trying to make the ALCS for the 8th time in a row. The Braves at number 11 are holding on to dear life to a playoff spot. They're not as far out as the Twins are, just 1 game back of the Diamondbacks and the Mets right now. They have a doubleheader against the Mets coming up soon. That is going to be a massive, massive set. Whoever wins that, if they split it, if the Braves are able to sweep, this is going to change everything. These next two games for the Braves and the Mets. I'm excited to see what happens, though. At 10, it's the Orioles. They've been sliding a little bit. They went on a little bit of a hot streak there. They end up losing the division, but they did claim a playoff spot earlier this week against the Yankees. They made it in, not where they want to be, but they're one of the best teams in the league, hovering around 90 wins, which is close enough to the top. They're by far the best wild card, I think, although they're coming in not really too hot. They've got one series to turn it around. They can eliminate the Twins, or they could let the Twins in. We'll see. Obviously, they're not going to let them in, but they could find a way for the Twins to slip in by playing them. At number 9, the Arizona Diamondbacks have not clinched a playoff spot yet, and they are the team in the NL that's the closest to free falling. None of those three teams that are fighting for the last two spots in the NL are really free falling. They're all playing pretty good baseball right now. The Arizona Diamondbacks, I think, are playing the worst baseball out of all of them, and it's not by much. They're still ahead of the Braves. It's going to be a tight matchup for who gets in. I'm excited to see these last series of the year, though. Continuing in our top 10, the New York Mets sit at 8. They just continue to win ball games, and they're very, very close to clinching. They get a huge matchup with the Braves. If they're able to sweep that, they're in. Plain and simple. That's all they need to do. They need to win 2 games against the Braves, and they are in. That's all it takes. It's in their hands. They control their fate. The Tigers up to number 7. They have been hot. 9-1 over their last 10. The Detroit Tigers, all but guaranteed a playoff spot. I talked about that scenario. As long as they don't lose out, they're in. They win 1 game. Their magic number is 1, and they are in. And lucky them. Guess who they face? The Chicago White Sox. The red-hot Chicago White Sox, I should say. Still the Chicago White Sox, doing everything they can to not hand the Tigers their first playoff berth in 10 years. Padres clinched a playoff spot. They're the number 1 wild card seed in the NL. They're at number 6 here. They've been very hot. They're going to be a dangerous team in the playoffs. They got healthy for the playoffs. That's not something a lot of teams do. The Brewers at 5 clinched their division. They're just continuing to win ball games. It's a stacked NL. They don't get a bye, but it's a stacked NL. So we'll see. Guardians at 4. They, I believe, have clinched a bye for the first round of the playoffs. Them and the Yankees. They get a first round bye. That's huge for them. I don't remember the last time they did that. Must have been when they made the World Series about 10 years ago. The Yankees at number 3 clinched their division. Aaron Judge found a power surge near the end, almost up to 60 home runs. Shohei Ohtani started chasing him for that overall home run lead, so kind of had to find it again. Homered in a couple straight games, brought the Yankees to the playoffs. Phillies fall 1 spot to number 2, not because of anything they've done, just because the Dodgers at number 1 have Shohei Ohtani, and he's a special guy. That's about it. Best baseball player on the planet. Maybe the best baseball player in the history of baseball. I heard that from a couple of MLB players, so, I don't feel that crazy saying it, but maybe he even pitches in the postseason, which would be awesome. It would be so much fun to see. The Dodgers need some pitching help. They got a little injured on the starting pitching line, but they're a very good ball club. They've got their lineup set. MVPs at the top, great hitters at the bottom. But let me know what you think of my MLB power rankings. I'd love to hear your thoughts on anything. The postseason is right around the corner. After these series this weekend, we're going to do a full breakdown of the MLB playoff bracket. That'll be probably on Wednesday, if I'm going to be honest with you. But MLB postseason is right around the corner. I cannot wait to break it down with all of you guys. But thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in to today's episode of Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I have been your host, Jeremy Lapidus. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Go watch some football. Go watch some college football. Go enjoy some baseball. We'll talk about all of it on Monday. We'll do our power rankings on Tuesday, and we'll talk about the MLB playoffs on Wednesday. Look at it. It's shaping up to be an awesome week next week. So make sure you tune in for all of that and more here on Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. You'll have a good one. Bye-bye.
feel like it's gonna be a bad day. I'm tired of shit and the coffee ain't hit yet.